Hello, and welcome to another episode of Vibrant Legacy Wellness Podcast. And today we have the amazing, the inspiring Mike Schwartz, and he's going to tell us all about himself and what he does.
Oh yeah, there we go. Elsa, thank you so much for having me here. I love the name of it's such the vibrant. Can you say that again? How do we say it?
Vibrant,
Vibrant?
Vibrant Legacy Wellness.
Oh my goodness, those are three of my favorite words. Okay, actually, absolutely. Vibrant and legacy and wellness. I mean, I could touch on that. So the vibrant part of me is like how I like to introduce myself occasionally is like I'm 50% Rafiki, 50% Tigger. So there's the vibrant, okay? The legacy is I have made an actual, some say calling, others call it a career. I have made an impact in my life. My legacy is combining two of my greatest passions, music and wellness. And well, how do we incorporate? I'm just going to give you the full sheet then. I'm a founder of a record label, and from the time that I was a little kid, I loved music, I loved animals, I loved sports, and I just loved people. So now I get to do all of that all in one bundle, and I think that that right there is the passionate coming out in me is that when we find that thing that we can do and people happen to pay us money, we've made it, I think. And in a nutshell, that's where I'm at. I blend the worlds of music and wellness, and I think that's a large part of what we're going to be talking about here today.
It is, and it's actually one of the main reasons that I wanted to work with you because today we're going to be talking about like frequency and how, how people are energy and things like that. And so just for anybody who doesn't know and doesn't follow me as much, I tried there's this little trend that was going on, Dear Algorithm, and I tried it and I got an amazing response. and,
Mm.
and there were some people, including Mike, that I immediately felt like, oh, I love this person's energy. I love their frequency. I love their vibe. We have to do something together. I don't care what, we got to do all the things. and,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I felt when I met you. It was like, I don't care. We just have to do something. Like,
Yeah.
let's work together. So
Yeah, yeah. Love wise, right back at you. Game recognizes game. And when I saw that come up, I think it was on the Threads feed there. I was looking because like I've got a message and I'm a big advocate of when people have a message, including myself. This is a big part of what I try to get out of others is that if they've got that legacy component and especially when it ties wellness and vibrancy together, that's what the world needs right now. We need more love. We need more abundance. We need more what's really undercover. And when I saw that post come up, I'm like, this is a bop. I know that this is going to be good. I have no idea what it's going to be. And it's been just such a fun like social say what you want about social media, but like man, I wouldn't be here without it. So there are some good things, and I'm sure when we get into the conversation here, we're going to understand that a lot of those really good things can also turn detrimental when we're talking about wellness, especially, and that's a big piece of finding that I call it harmony, finding that harmony between those worlds, and finding what really fuels us and pushes us and allows us to nurture ourselves as well, and that's a big part of my wellness journey, I would say.
I think it's all about like what we put out, right? Like how we put out, how we present ourselves, because you can have two people on social media who do the same thing, say the exact same thing, but their delivery is so different. Their branding is so different. The way they present themselves in the world is so different because their personal
Yeah,
frequency and energy is different. And I
very
think
much.
that's kind of how, what you put out is what you get back, who you
Bingo.
attract.
Bingo. Yeah, it's reciprocated. We talk about a lot of that with the frequency in music because we walked into those rooms where you said it earlier. That's a vibe. Yeah, that is a vibe. Or when you walk into the room that's not a vibe, and you're like, I got to get out of here immediately. When we think about frequency and we think about how it relates to music and wellness, is that we carry a certain vibration. That is our frequency. And when that vibration is lower, and I know that I was in a lower frequency years ago too, before I discovered that at the end of the day, most things are my fault. You know, when I came to that conclusion and stopped blaming others for my mishaps, that's a hard thing to hear. And if people are listening, they're like, what do you mean? I was told one time by one of my first mentors that the reason I was where I was in my life was because of the accumulation of the choices that I had made up until that point. And that was the first time I ever heard that. And that's not ground shaking anymore. I completely embrace that. I actually try to overdo that. I try to own absolutely every situation I'm in. Radical ownership really, really feels good. Because even if it's not, let's take a relationship or a band. We've got four members in the band. If only they only feel responsible for 25%, what happens when one falls a bit short? Well, now we got a gap. Uh-oh. But if one takes 100%, even when the others are fallen, this is leadership 101. If the others have fallen apart or in a partnership, your spouse, if they can't show up at their 100% or their 50%, if you're going 50-50, like some people, well, what if they hit 48? Now we got 2% gap if you're hitting your 50, but you're not going to go over that? No, no, no. I say 100%. And when we look at that, that's where our vibration can really bring up. I think that a starting point to have that conversation of how to increase your vibration, increase your frequency from, and this is like super meta and super wellness focused, start owning everything. Start taking radical responsibility for every situation you're in, even when you know that it is the other person. It feels really good to be like, I got this. This is completely me. I understand where you're coming from. So I think it's really important for us when we're in conflict and when we're in situations and we're in, I call them situationships, relationships, any sort of business or any sort of personal. When we take that responsibility, it alleviates the responsibility for other people, and they start to add more respect to you. They go, oh, whoa, 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 no, actually, and they'll start in doing so, you inspire them to really own their self too. Because oftentimes we find ourselves in these like victim fights where nobody wants to take any responsibility. It's just a blame game and nothing gets done. But if I start leading by, no, I got this, then when you go to get the bill and people fight over the bill, it's the same kind of thing. No, I got this. No, 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 sure, I got this one. I got this one. You got one last time. Okay. And then by the end of it, we're all happy and everybody's trying to own the thing and we let somebody take the bill and then you got the next one or something like that. Same thing can happen when we're talking about frequency and vibe and trying to get to that higher level of ourselves. If we can just start with one thing, owning our actions right there. That's it. Start there.
Is that personal accountability. And I think it's so funny that you said when you first, like your first coach, because that's also where I started with the coaching when I was getting coached. And it was a spiritual coach, kind of doing
Yeah.
what I do, but at a much higher level than what I do at right now, of course, because she's doing it longer. And she was like, okay, but what's your part? Like, you have to be accountable for you. And then she used to always say, don't worry about the other side of the street because the only thing that matters is your side of the street. If you're worried about your side of the street and it's good, the other person's going to meet you in the middle. And if they can't meet you in the middle, somebody else will.
Yep.
And she was like, and just know that meeting someone in the middle doesn't mean you do half the work. You have to do all the work to get to the middle. And it was so
Bingo.
insightful because it was the first time that I really, I think, heard that half your half being halfway doing 50% means that you're doing 100%.
You have to. Absolutely. Look, you have to. And the simple reason is that if they are having a 42% day and you're only going to 50, you've got 8% that's missing. I don't care what that is, business, health, relationship. What happens when you've got a gap like that? You've got a leak. We know that in the financial system is that's a bad business. We don't want that. We're leaking money. If we're leaking energy on toxic relationships, things like that. So like if you can responsibly, I'm right with you, 100%. Get 100%, and then you can cover all the bases when somebody else, and that feels really good. Every human I've ever talked to loves helping people. You know, every person I hang out with is just like, I love, like, can I give you a hand? They love it. That's what we do. So think of it that way. Like in any type of relationship you're in, any situation you're in, if you can own it, it's going to feel really good. Maybe not so much in the moment. That's a different story. And it'll feel good, that ownership, that sense of, oh, self-responsibility. I got this, and that gives you so much more drive for future endeavors.
And it also gives you kind of your own personal baseline of
Yeah.
like, this is who, because you know, Well, okay, on a personal level, I'll speak personally. Like
Mhm.
I know when I'm not really being the best version of myself and I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel, even if I like in the moment I might feel good, like I might react in anger, but later on I don't feel good. My energy feels off. I
Mhm.
feel a little bit like, where am I? I feel a little frazzled because I'm not being in the correct frequency that I need to operate in. And I'm just, at that point, I'm just fluttering.
Bingo. Yeah, we're reacting rather than responding. That's such an interesting thing too, and I think it's a great shift into the conversation on when we talk about our energy systems, and one that is often referred to as woo woo. I like to call it woo doo because it is the metaphysical side. Our body is vibration. We know that because of the things that we said already. You walk into a room, you know immediately when that person isn't vibing with you, right? You can just tell. You're not having There's no flow to the conversation. They're just like robotic maybe, and it's a fight. We don't like that. And a large part of that is just because of that frequency. There's an energy block somewhere, and we have the chakra system that I know you're well versed with the yoga background, and this is an Eastern methodology that bringing it to the West has been, interesting to say the least, because it's been manipulated in ways that is Western capitalist as well. People say a lot more about these things and make it sound like I call these people plastic shamans where they haven't really understood the thing. They haven't really grasped the fundamentals. And when we look at it from a very basic level, the reason this is so important is because it can transform your life, listener, is that when we feel something in an emotional pull, let's say, we're talking wellness, we feel some sort of an emotional trigger. That's a word that's used quite a bit. So if we feel sadness, we feel anger, we feel frustration, we feel like we're unheard. Oftentimes, the body will show those symptoms long before we come anywhere near it from a thought process, a conscious thought process. Our body will give us a signal. Sometimes it's a shoulder that gets a little funny. Maybe it's a lump in the throat, you know? Maybe it's out of nowhere, my ankle just started hurting. That's always, for me, being playing in two sandboxes my whole career in the fitness world and in the music world. The fitness world, I was so bro, I didn't understand. I thought everything could be like a mechanical fix. I thought it was a musculature or it was a pain or it was a gene thing or it was all this science, until I understood what the chakra system was and that every symptom in our body is actually an emotional symptom. Every illness in our, I'll say that again. The easiest way to remember every illness, every sort of disease that we have is an emotional piece. Most people don't want to hear that. They're like, no, 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 no. I want to write it off to the prescription drug, or I want to write it off to my genes. I want to give it some other title so that I don't actually have to own it. It couldn't possibly be because I never resolved that thing with my dad when I was 7 years old. Why on earth would that be it? They taught me nothing about money and I'm poor. I now have a scarcity mindset and my ankle hurts. Want me to tell you why? Yeah. Okay. You have a block in your root chakra because of your security is based off of something that you were taught you never had anything of. You grew up, many of us are millennials or any gen on the either side of that. We grew up in a scarcity mindset because our parents and their generations grew up in a depression. So they passed along those traits and kept us in this thinking small. Like there's never enough. We don't have time. There's no energy. There's no money for this. I remember going to groceries and picking coupons off of the discount board before we go in and make our list. We didn't make lists. We waited till we got there and we bought in bulk because there were deals. We saved $2 if we got 18 liters of milk. Where are we going to put the 18 liters of milk? Didn't matter. We got $4 off. That's stupid. That's a dumb thing, but that's what we do. That's scarcity mindset in and now the person goes, "Oh," and they call attention to it consciously and they go, "My ankle just stopped hurting." I'm like, "Mhm." Oftentimes it gets worse before it gets better. And when we start to bring the conscious mind to those emotional things, those stories, those past negative narratives, well, guess what? That frequency down in that chakra system, down in that root system that's based around security, now it can go, "Oh, thank you for listening to me." It's like the inner child goes, "Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for paying attention. I'm going to stop the symptom now because you've brought attention to it and you know something's up." And now we can process that. Now we can look at, oh, wow, I've been running this story that I don't have enough money, but clearly I do. Like we can make decisions. We have what's known as agency. And that works with all of the energy systems, all seven in the body. And we'll stick with that for now. That's my specialty. I know there's plenty more. We don't have to get esoteric about it all, but we start at the bottom. We've got our root, we've got our sacral, we've got our solar, we've got our heart, we've got our throat, we've got our third eye, and we've got our crown, working bottom to top. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. And then up to the crown, purple, the king, the crown, right? And each of these zones also hold a lot of the things that we'll feel as ailments. So when we're talking about wellness and vibrancy, if we're feeling a little run down and we don't have, like maybe we got a little sickness, yeah, could be a cold that you picked up a bug. Could also be the fact that you're really nervous about the speaking engagement you have 2 weeks down the line, or the family outings. Being that a time of recording here, we're in holidays, I know this is a big piece for a lot of people. They have to go back to the family and they don't
Yes.
know how to act because they've changed so much and they feel awkward around the black sheep. That's that's a real thing. I've had that conversation plenty of times this week, where people are freaking out because they have to go hang out with their family. I'm like, wait a minute, this is
Right.
supposed to be
The
like,
place that you're supposed to be calm and at peace.
aren't you supposed to feel nurtured and like safe? No, most people, not at all. And that comes up in injuries. It shows up in like a lump in the throat or sickness, swollen glands, because they don't know how to speak their truth. They don't know how to speak to the people that they still see as their parents, yet they're 45 years old. They're still seeing mom and dad. So of course we got a power dynamic, right? So like little things like this. I know I went on a bit of a tangent, but these are the types of things that we can really start to, when we start to slow down and think, hey, maybe it is something else. Maybe it isn't just a mechanical thing in wellness. Maybe it isn't the nutrition. It could be the inflammatory foods that you're eating. However, more often than not, it has something to do with calling attention to the external things, the other factors, the holistic factors in our life, the stressors, the environments, the relationships, especially if we're feeling stuff around the heart, right? In the shoulders, in the chest. Maybe it's a relationship that's on the rocks. Maybe it's a nervous friend or something, or we feel things in the hands. These are all signs for us to slow down and be like, whoa, what's actually going on in my life? Let's take a pause. Let's collect ourselves and then make a move.
It's so funny that you say that. First off, like I want to come back to woo, so please remind me of that because I have
Of course.
something that like I think you'll love.
Yeah.
But so I know you know that I do yoga, but I also am a Reiki master, but I'm also pursuing my doctorate in Chinese medicine. And a lot of times what you're saying is like what we say. We're like, that's just how it's manifesting.
Yeah.
Like your ankle is the manifestation, but what's the real problem? And we always talk about in Chinese medicine, let's treat the actual problem and not the symptom
Bingo.
because like Western medicine is very much treat the symptom,
Hmm.
but Chinese medicine or any other type of traditional modalities, we're really getting down to like anything Eastern. And as you see, I do all Eastern modalities. That's just kind of where I love things. And for all of those things, we're always looking at what is the root cause. I don't want to treat just the symptom because that's just putting a band-aid on it, and that's not helping you. That's
Hmm.
just making you feel better for now. And
Hmm.
if I make your ankle feel better and tomorrow you wake up and your ankle hurts, did I help you? No. Did you help yourself? No, because you're still stuck in that energy. You're still stuck in that little vicious cycle of revisiting that, but you don't even know that that's the problem. Or
Yeah.
you're in denial that that's the problem. Usually it's denial.
Yeah, we don't want to accept it because what that would
Mhm.
do is that would change the narrative of what we believe about ourselves for as long as that up until that point could be decades. And that's really scary. And that's often when I come back to like the challenge that I've experienced with a bunch of my clients, going back to family. That's been the topic of like we're having a strength training session and in the breaks, they're nervous. I'm like, what's on your mind? And oh man, I got holidays and it's just like it's gonna be chaos. I was like, wow, that's if that's your big, I got people that are praying for those problems, but I get it. So let's talk about it. And here's the thing. Talk therapy does the same thing. Talk therapy is all about, let's let the steam off. Let's treat the symptom instead of going over to the potatoes and turning the burner off. That's your words, that's your frequency, that's your mindset. The music and the words, those pieces are the narratives that are keeping us playing small, or keeping us in those cycles that you're talking about more often than
Hmm.
not. And when we can go in there and turn that burner off, poof, root cause, my friends, and that is the key to wellness.
Before we move on, I want to tell you about Woo. So,
Yes, please.
I actually, and it's important. I just want to tell you this part first. So, my knowledge of yoga, I notice, is a lot more in depth than most people because I actually have a degree in yoga. So we did 2 years of Ayurvedic studies, like you
Wow.
do really in depth. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so in yoga, in Reiki, and in Chinese medicine, there's actually a word for woo. In Chinese medicine, the word is actually woo.
Yep.
And like we had to write a whole paper on it. And it's so funny because it actually, like, we use it so loosely to say woo woo, but it
Yep.
actually kind of, it's hard to explain it in English, but basically it is kind of like the healing process, your energetic healing
Yep.
and frequency, the healing. And it's
Yep.
funny because that's how we kind of use it, but we kind of use it in a negative way. Kind of now people say
Exactly.
woo woo as a negative way, but it's
Yep.
actually something really positive
Yep.
on the Eastern side. And there's a word for each of, in all of those trainings, there's a word for it. But in Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine, the word is actually woo.
It's Isn't it
So,
fascinating? It's so interesting that we come back to word. Word is the like what is it in the even in the Bible, isn't it? Like, and the word is God. Like
mhm.
the, read that again. The word is God. The highest is the word. Like that's wow. Okay, cool. And when we think about that, think about this. Abracadabra. You've heard of that before, right? What does that mean?
Mhm.
What do you think of when you hear that word?
I think magic is about to happen,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's so common. Okay, can I share with you what that word means? It's Aramaic for with my word I create, or with my
wow.
word I influence. So think about it. And I've said this before too. It's the word weird was used in the ancient traditional like monarch system of oppression, and like we are the kings and you are the peasants, and the word weird was used in a similar sense, in a derogatory sense, like you're weird, like that's a bad thing. But it actually means to achieve highest purpose or highest self-actualization. So similar to woo, we've manipulated it to make people that are actually healing to feel like that's a bad thing, because here's the way control works. If you're taking care of yourself, getting out in sunshine, that costs nothing. Breathing consciously, that costs nothing. You're out with friends, social circles, that costs nothing. We can't send a prescription drug to you. Oh, oh. So this is where we go, oh man, they were onto something. Eastern medicine, that's actually wholesome healing from the inside out. Like I have agency. I don't depend on you to tell me. Because last time I checked, Elsa, how many people in the world have ever lived a day in your life?
No one, of course.
Just you. Yep. Just you,
Hmm.
right? So would it be fair to me to say you likely know what's best for you,
Of course.
right?
But we don't think that way. We want
No,
to
we
follow
don't.
the please tell me
Ah,
what's wrong with me.
yeah. I don't actually want to understand anything, and I don't want to have accept radical responsibility at all. So tell me what I need to do, doc or coach or educator or anything, name it. Like there's a point when I'm as an educator, the best day of my life when I bring somebody on isn't the day that they like sign on with me or anything. It's actually the day that they go, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, because that means I did my job. The second best day is when they come in and they realize that they need the help. But that's second. That's definitely second, because I look forward to when people, sometimes I got to like flick them off, right? Because now we've built a relationship and we can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and they actually have the tools, and it's like set them free. And that's what I love so much about the wellness industry, is that there are some really, really powerful communicators out there that are all about it. And then there's a handful, just like any industry, that really make it difficult for the rest of us and really make it difficult for the public because it's painting a different picture that you need me. That's not it at all. You don't. You have everything inside of you. You need somebody to light that up, though. That's
Hmm.
the thing. That's the key, I think, to the wellness piece. It's again, empowerment from within.
And I think that also our definition of wellness is like
Yeah.
what we need to look at, especially in Western culture, because a lot of the things that we're talking about now, even now, are just
Mhm.
so common. Like I have friends that are in different countries that are not Western culture, right? And the things that I'm learning in school are just things that they learned in life. They're like,
Yeah.
wait, you never, they were like, wait, this is part of your school training? I'm like, listen, this is not a normal thing here. But it's so baffling to them because they're like, literally, this is what we've been hearing since we were five. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just our thoughts on wellness, especially in Western cultures, especially in the US, is
Mm.
let's how can we monetize your wellness, you know?
Yeah. Or your sickness, I think. I think
Yeah,
doctors in the medical system, like I understand. I'm not naive enough to think that if I break my arm, no amount of meditation is going to put that arm back together right then and there. We need to triage that shit. Get me into the hospital, put a thing on it, splint it, do what you got to do, doc. There's a time and a place. I understand that. I wouldn't be here otherwise. I had open heart surgery when I was a baby, right? That's cool. I get it. But they're the ones telling me that I need this, that, and the other thing. I'm sitting there going like, I don't actually need that. That feels, again, I come back to like, oh, nope, that's not a good thing for me. That's no, I don't, something doesn't sit right. Why? I feel the vibration. I feel the frequency. We always come back. I'm like, something's off on that. I listened to this for a long time, though. I'll tell you, I didn't, and I made multiple grave errors, like in relationships, in my athletic career, because I was listening to what somebody else was telling me. They didn't know they maybe it worked for them. Maybe it wasn't malicious. Sometimes it was. Maybe it wasn't though. I didn't have my own like identity. I just associated by like, oh, well, that's what they did, so I'm gonna chase that for a while. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, and then instead of just listening to all of the wisdom inside of my subconscious, like right here inside of me, is there everything I have? I've got the answers, and if I don't, I will find it. I will ask questions. I will figure it out. Right? If we had a world where more people did that, I think we'd make better decisions as a humankind.
agreed.
Right?
I think it comes down to knowing where that balance is. Like even in medicine, I think it's important to balance. Like you can't just have fully one or fully the other. You're not going to be okay. But I think that that's how we have to look at ourselves is balancing between the outside world and our internal everything.
Yeah, yeah. I made a whole card deck on that. Like that's when I'm talking about frequencies, because like again, music fit records. I literally take music and bring fitness or wellness to the table. Because if we could have more artists with a sustainable career, because oftentimes it's a burnout and it's a broke and it's a scarcity and people are starving artists and they can't make anything because they're chasing streams and there's all this stuff. But if we just remove all of that for a minute and look at the person, I believe truly that if I can create a better, well-rounded human, whatever they do, they're going to be excel. They're going to excel at it, or they're going to be excellent, or they're going to be sensational at it because they are sensational at themselves and they understand how to have that conversation. That's the first conversation. You have to figure out who you are. So when we look at archetypes, the masculine archetypes, borrowed from, of course, the great Rod Boothroyd, who wrote The Warrior, Magician, Lover, and King, that's our masculine do stuff. So when our frequency is in action, solar plexus, I do. That's our go getter attitude. That's our get her done. That's our boom, 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 boom. Let's hit the air horn. Let's get our stuff done. That's where most of society in Western civilization is stuck all the time. There's no off button,
Yes.
all on all the time. Go. We can't even sleep. We wake up, we burn out because we're cortisol levels are jacked right till 9 p.m. and we're drinking coffee for 4 hours longer than we should be right until the afternoon. We're burning at both ends, lady. Like look, it's real, it's very real.
Yes.
And when we take that and we balance, like to use your word, we take that yang energy and we move over into the yin and we nurture ourselves and we look at the bigger picture and we get more of a dreamer approach to like what does this all really mean? How do we keep the fuel? It's like starting a fire, right? you can't just start a fire by laying every piece of wood in there. You got to give it space. You got to give it creative ingenuity in that building. Like maybe it's a teepee, maybe it's a log house, whichever way you build your fires. It doesn't matter. The key here is breath, space. Let it breathe so that that spark has a place to
Doesn't
go.
smother.
Exactly. Because what happens when you put too much on that thing? We have no creativity. We're burning at
Hmm.
both ends, and then we tank. And it takes twice, if not three times as long to get back up if we are so lucky. Oftentimes, people don't recover from that and they run up into sickness and they run up into adrenal fatigue and then they're in the hospital. So you can pay the farmer or you can pay the doctor. Like, put your time in, put your time into nourishing yourself while you're here because the man or woman who goes out and tries to make and only focuses on the abundance of like monetary claim, money, wants to make all of that and build, they end up spending all of that money that they made on their health.
Yes.
And so,
Or or
right?
the aftermaths of the downfall of their health.
Exactly, which it stems far further than a hospital bill. It's a divorce, it's
Hmm.
losing the kids, it's custody, it's all of the things that we neglected because we were so fixated on the do. And when
Hmm.
we tap into that frequency to bring it full circle, when we tap into like what's going on in my body, we can like, oh, that's a clue. Don't go that way because I feel my shoulders off. That's causing me to think about my relationships now. Okay, cool. Now we've got awareness. That's the first step. Once we have the awareness, we can readdress our belief system and make change. A, B, C.
And it's also understanding that we're balanced. We're both. We're not just masculine or feminine energy. And I think we get stuck in that idea of if you're one or the other, you can't be part of the other. Like if you're
Yeah,
just masculine energy, you're not allowed to have anything else, or vice versa. And I think that's part of the understanding your frequency
yeah,
and understanding
absolutely.
where you're supposed to be in your energy because you're that's the whole reason. Like when you look at I can't even think right now what it's called. When you look at the
Oh yeah.
the
Or what are we? What are I like this? I like the motion. That's a good motion. It looks like a yin, the yin yang.
yeah, thank
There we go.
you.
I was
You
like,
look
I
at
think she, yeah, yin yang. Yeah, I
you
got it.
officially speak Elsa.
I gotcha. Yeah, I got it. I understand. That's just like the automatic, like I need a fork. It's like,
Yes.
help. I got you.
But when you look at the yin yang, you notice that there is both inside of both. One flows into the other. And
Yeah,
it's because one becomes the other, where they're kind of becoming each other and flowing into each other because that's how we are supposed to be. We are supposed to flow our energy to match the situation.
exactly. It's a holistic. Our bodies are just one part of us, right? Our spirit, our body, our wherever you go on that. Our body though is a holistic being. So to say that this symptom that we're showing is only because of one, two, three things. No, 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 no. This is because of everything, actually, right? Because maybe it's not even something in the heart chakra. Maybe it's because the heart is taking so much, it's overstraining that like the neck isn't doing its job or some other form of like that physical body. There's other things that could play. So if we look upstream and downstream, that's the term that we use, upstream and downstream from the symptom, both mechanically but also metaphysically, we can get a lot more clues when we start to open our eyes up to all of the other things it could be. And that's the thing. It's what if, that's a favorite for me. What if it was something else? What if we've tried all of those things and it's not working? What if it was something else? And that's just opening your mind to open your heart with open hands. That's it.
And that also makes me think of what I wanted to talk about next was connection and how the energy, the frequency that we're on is also what we receive and what we put out, and it connects us to the world, right? So if you're walking around angry all the time, you're walking around saying negative things about yourself, or perfect example, relationships. Oh, I always end up dating jerks.
Yeah.
Mm, why do you keep saying that? Why do
Yeah.
you keep putting that energy out there? That's you're saying that's what I want.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to take that on one of the exercises we do that plays a little into that. This is an easy icebreaker for anybody who's like, "Nah, I'm skeptical." Okay, cool. For all the skeptics out there, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and also if you want, you can definitely do this too. I call this the obstacles to opportunity. Yeah, I love to gamify everything. And this is something that I oftentimes open things up for somebody who's brand new to the mindset and the manifestation of these things that you're talking about. So I would like everybody who's playing along at home to write down, I've got, or sorry, let's go this way. My biggest obstacle to success is, and then fill in the blank. And we'll put 30 seconds to a minute up on the clock. You guys can write that down and we'll play if Elsa, if you're open to it.
Yeah,
We
definitely. I
can
already know.
we can
I
yeah,
I can
yeah.
share.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're open to it, I would love for us to facilitate this so the listeners can hear how this stuff works. What did you write down?
Lack of consistency.
Okay, so
It always comes back to that for me.
all good, all good. Always? Has it ever not?
No.
Not ever. Not even once in your life.
Not even once. It
Okay.
always comes back to lack of
Okay. In
consistency.
this is the interesting thing. In order to be consistent, it must have first been inconsistent. So I caught you.
Oh,
It can't possibly have been
you're right.
consistent. Yeah, because it's duality, guys. Coin.
Mhm.
Look at I've got the Nelson Mandela coin. I love this coin so much. It's my favorite coin. Silver dollar. Every coin. Have you ever seen a coin without two sides?
No, never.
Not ever. No. Piece of paper, two sides? No, all the time. Okay. In order to be consistent, there must have first been an inconsistency to weigh it against. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here,
How would you
right? So,
know? Exactly.
exactly. So, I kind of tricked you into that. And most people, that's a story that you're going to tell yourself, I'm always this way. I love this one. I'm a night owl. I can't sleep at night. Okay, cool. Do you want to? Well, yeah. Okay, stop saying you can't. That's the first step. So let's play the game. I'm going to have you read that sentence out as you wrote it down. And then after you've read it out loud, take a deep breath in, big, long, audible exhale. I'm all the way up here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I've got to take my head out the door and I want to hear you breathe. Okay. So
Okay.
we do, because that tells us our body is safe. Okay. So it'll help you release some of that. So you're going to read it out, you're going to breathe, and then we're going to check in. Cool.
Okay.
Let's go.
My biggest obstacle to success is lack of consistency.
Deep breath in. Okay. Check in. What sensations come up when you read that out loud?
A little bit of anxiety.
Okay, a little bit. How on a scale of my favorite scale is the Justin Bieber scale. Okay, that's an 11. So on a scale of 1 to 11, how many Justin Biebers is that? 11 is high.
Probably about four.
Okay, cool. Do you notice? I'm just going to call an observation, and do you notice a little bit and probably? Did you notice that?
Oh,
Aha,
yes.
aha. Let's remove them and see how it feels to say that.
A, a
Pro
four.
that tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ha. And what was your obstacle to success?
Lack of consistency.
Aha.
Huh.
Would it be crazy? Here's a question for you, and this is just I'm freestyling right now, okay? Would it be crazy to offer up your consistency would be more consistent if you were more confident?
Yes, definitely.
You see how fast she answered that? You knew. Words like probably and a little bit are soft talk. They give us a bit of wiggle room so that we can screw up. Why do you think that is? Because we have now made it a normal part of our pattern to be inconsistent. We've given ourselves permission because we've been facilitating I am an inconsistent person. Because earlier you told me that all the time you've been inconsistent. Well, you're going to continue to be inconsistent if you think that. So we're going to change that right now if you're up to it. Do you want to
Okay.
be more
Yeah,
consistent?
sure.
Okay, cool. I gotta ask because some people are like, no, 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 I'm living the life, inconsistent guy.
Oh, no, no.
I know. Okay, so I gotta ask, right? Because I think I know, and I say this often, is that if you are fighting for your limitations, you can keep them. Okay. This is all beliefs are limits, right? And we can fix this with some words. So change one word. What word do you think that will be that you wrote?
Black.
Close, very close. That would be a second step. I'm going to get you to change obstacle. I'm going to get you to rewrite. You can cross that one out. For anybody else playing the home game, cross out obstacle. It's the only word we're going to cross out. Over top it, underneath it, wherever you like, you're going to insert opportunity. And then you're going to read that back.
My biggest opportunity to success is lack of consistency.
Did you hear how she
Oh,
went up in that? You're like
okay.
Ron Burgundy. My lack of consistency, and you got thinking. You got curious. We beat the guilt, shame, blame cycle with curiosity. We can't be mad when we're curious. That's cool. What happened there for you when you read that? It was
I was
very
like,
interesting.
I, I don't know. I started thinking in the middle of saying it. I was like, wait a minute. Like my mind started really thinking about my actions and like I kind of started like, I don't know, really analyzing myself at that point.
One word, right? How wild is that?
Hmm.
What remember? Woo, the word, the word is God. Yeah, okay. Well, here, guess what? What happened in that inflection? You went up at the end of that. You went, what?
Because I
Like
was
a valley
questioning,
girl? Yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly. And that's what gets us, okay, because questions will pull. Answers push. You don't have to have the answers right now. You have to get curious about yourself. Like, okay, cool. My response to that, read it out again, and I'm just going to give you a natural response. Read it out loud, like you say it.
my biggest opportunity to success is lack of consistency.
Did you hear the difference?
Yes, because
Lack
now
of
I'm analyzing.
consistency. Heck
Yes.
yeah. I got it. Mine would be, oh, sounds like you've got a couple ideas on that. What kind of opportunities are you thinking? And now you would share. What kind of opportunities do you have with lack of consistency? Where's your first lowest hanging fruit?
For me,
Hmm.
just I make a schedule and don't always stick to it.
Perfect. What if you made the schedule and you stuck to it? And maybe it wasn't a full schedule. Maybe you're making too much of a schedule. Maybe you're a multi-potentialite, like I think you are. You do a lot of really cool things. In working with multi-potentialites, people that like to wear a lot of hats and keep themselves busy with a lot of things, we're deemed as, especially in the society today, we are supposed to be specialists. There's no such thing as a generalist. You can't possibly attain success without being without being a specialist. BS. Multi-potential, like look at all of them. Like Van Gogh is a great example. Come on, right? Beethoven, Mozart, these guys were all incredibly artistic and creative, and they did so many different things, but they were known for one. That's cool. What if you were setting yourself too much of a framework because you actually like to play with so many different things, and your scheduling is different than the specialist that's telling you you need to schedule out every hour? What if that's too constraining, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Yeah, I saw it. The whole body just went, yeah, you're speaking my words. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So what if,
actually I actually started scheduling that way and then I stopped scheduling that way and then I just started scheduling unless it's like a hard appointment. I just schedule, okay, sometime during the day I need to do these things.
boom, that's bingo. So that's one opportunity for you to become more consistent your own way, right? What's another one? What's another thing? So we got the time, the scheduling. Okay, cool. Is there another one that comes to mind that could be an opportunity for you to, what was your silly line? Like lack of consistency? Okay, cool. What's
Yeah.
another opportunity?
Mm, probably rest. My rest is not consistent.
Yes. What happens if you rest? Like, what if you rested more?
I'd probably be more focused and by nature more consistent because you're not tired. When you're tired, you're just all over the place. You can't focus.
Look at that. Okay, cool. Did you catch the probably? I did.
Oh,
Yep.
I did
It's a
not.
filler. No, it's a filler word. Easiest way for folks listening, if you're catching yourself saying these words and you're getting annoyed with yourself, give yourself grace. It's not about removing them, it's about awareness, and slowing down your rate of speech will help that. When we say, rest, what would happen? Well, what would happen for me if I rested more is I would wake up feeling more energy and I would be more motivated to do the things that were what we would call like eat the frog. Eat the frog first thing, do the hardest thing on your schedule. When you're tired, the last thing you want to do is the hardest thing. You have no energy for it. So that's my first win. And all I did was slow down and actually think. Because when we put that pause in there, again, we're checking in with ourselves. We're coming right back to that frequency. Vibe with yourself. That's the first conversation you've got to have. Like, what's going on in my body? Did you notice when I said, what happened there? What was the sensation? I'm looking for what's coming up in your body. Your body tells me everything. How I don't even look at what you're doing. I'm like, oh, I can hear it in your voice. You went up on the first one and then you got confident on it and you went down because you're like, yes, I know what to do. That's exactly what I want to hear. That's a change. And now we can change because that's a learned behavior. Agree? Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Anything we learn, we can unlearn, throw over there, and we can learn something new. Whew.
And I absolutely love that. I feel like we never have enough time. Like we've had a
I
couple
know, right?
conversations.
All good. And that's part two. But this is the thing, because that's enough for a lot of people. Like that's way more than a lot of people could take, because it's so radically different to the way that you're thinking. You are completely in control of your life, is the overall message here. You really are. And it starts with your word and tapping into your frequency. We can do that with just like being still and breathing. How great is that?
That's very true. But I think you do have a good point. We don't want to overload the audience today, but we do have an opportunity for our audience who want to dive a little deeper into that, and I'll let you tell them about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this because like I know the stuff that I talk about can be very deep and very esoteric, and people are like, "Whoa, that's like," and this is I'm talking surface. So what I would love to offer for you in the community, for anybody that's listening, we set up a time that I can walk you through so you can get a real good, I call them concerts because people come to concerts, they don't come to workshops. It's a keynote workshop, it's a presentation to get a little bit more into tapping in and finding your true authentic self through frequency on your vibration. Try to find your vibe. That's kind of what we title it. Let's go find your vibe, find your tribe. Okay. And in order to do that, we can tap into a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about today on a much more personalized approach. Everybody gets together. We do it on Zoom. Sometimes I'm happy to get into, live. I love the live stuff. It's not always possible, but Zoom is a great alternative. So we'll find a time and we can bring people in that really want to uncover, how can I get more out of my life? How can I find my real vibe, find more of my tribe? Maybe it's people that are looking for better outcomes financially, better relationships. Maybe it's looking for better wellness, better practice of taking care of themselves, sleeping, little things like that. Any of the stuff that we were just talking about, anything you got going on, all I got to do is make sure you've got a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm ready to go. So I'd love to offer that free of charge for anybody who's a part of the community that wants to come in and explore that stuff, because I know we just scratched the surface today.
And definitely, I will put that in the description box so that everyone can reach out to you. And I'll probably
Yeah.
advertise that a little bit so people know what's
Yeah,
going on, how to contact you, how to sign up for that.
of
But
course.
I would also love for you to tell people just how they can just get more exposure to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. I know we don't ever have enough time for these things. I could just talk for days. I guarantee it. I'm a professional talker. The best place for people to find me is one spot, musicfitrecords.com. You're going to find my socials. You're going to find all of the stuff that we're doing with artists and creatives and business owners, all of that. All right there, musicfitrecords.com. You can even do the background check on me. I got a bunch of my stuff up there and what people are saying about working with me. So you get a real good understanding if I'm the right vibe for you or not. All right.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you. I'm so honored to have you on the show. And audience, again, everything, all of his contact information will be available to you. And thank you all for joining me for another episode of Vibrant Legacy Wellness Podcast. Remember, true wellness isn't just about the body, it's about nurturing your mind, heart, and spirit. Keep your energy high, your spirit bright, and your soul nourished. Until next time, stay vibrant, stay well.